Hey fam, glad you tapped in, because what's happening in Dolton, Illinois, it's not just politics. It's a full-blown Netflix-level saga. We're talking betrayal, scandal, collapse, and a plot twist that nobody had on their bingo card. Trust me, this one runs deep. So strap in because the ride is wild. Let's roll back to May 2021. History was made. Dolton, a small, predominantly black town, elected Tiffany Henyard as mayor, the first young black woman to ever hold that seat. She stormed in with promises of empowerment, transformation, and real change that people have been craving. The energy was electric. Folks believed she was about to rewrite the script. But fast forward just a few years, that hope flipped into disappointment, and fast. Instead of fixing problems, Henyard became the problem. The headlines weren't about progress. They were about chaos. Accusations piled up. Spending sprees with public funds like it was her personal debit card. Hair bundles. Designer sandals. Luxury candles. Even cookware. While residents struggled, she allegedly treated the budget like her own Amazon Prime account. And when people dared to call her out, she didn't just offend herself. She went on the attack. In village meetings, she clapped back at critics, most of them black residents who just wanted answers. At one point, she shouted, "Y'all should be ashamed, y'all black, and attacking a black woman that's empowered." But that speech didn't kill the outrage. It poured gasoline on it. The heat only grew. Investigations launched. Residents got louder. The pressure mounted. And then came the shift. Dolton swore in a brand new mayor, Jason House. After months of messy meetings and quiet backroom fights, Jason finally stepped up. And make no mistake, this wasn't some quiet transition. City Hall was packed. The streets buzzed. The vibe? Pure electricity. When Jason placed his hand on the Bible and vowed to lead with honesty and integrity, the crowd erupted. One witness said, "We just watched our little village make national history." And they weren't exaggerating. Dolton's collapse had become a national case study. One of scandal, yes, but also of resilience. And what happens when the people demand better? Now, with Jason at the wheel, the mission is clear. Restore trust, clean house, and rebuild what was lost. And judging by the turnout that day, the people are ready for the reboot. Meanwhile, Tiffany, she ran straight to Facebook. No accountability, no explanation, just selfies and motivational quotes like nothing happened. This is the same woman who once pulled in over $347,000 a year, more than the Illinois governor. Now, zero, no perks, no paycheck, no power. And word is, she didn't save a dime. Because here's the truth. When you chase power for wrong reasons, it disappears overnight. And when it's gone, if you didn't lead with integrity, there's nothing left. No team, no loyalty, no legacy, just silence. But Dolton's story isn't just Tiffany's downfall. It's a blueprint, a warning, proof of what happens when leadership fails. And when the people finally say enough, the residents woke up. And this time, they're not going back to sleep. See, while Tiffany was chasing cameras and clout, other leaders were actually grinding for the community. Folks like Edward Steve and Jason House. They weren't trying to trend. They weren't chasing headlines. They were just putting in the work, quietly, consistently, day after day. And here's the twist. Jason didn't even want to be mayor at first. He had the chance 4 years ago and turned it down. Why? Because he didn't need the title to serve. He didn't need applause to care. He was showing up anyway. No cameras, no spotlight, just consistency. So while Tiffany was building her image, Jason was building trust, laying the groundwork, standing firm. And when the scandals finally boiled over, he rose up and said, "Enough." And the people, they listened, they followed, they chose a different path. Dolton doesn't just owe Jason applause. They owe him gratitude. Because real leadership doesn't show up in designer heels with a selfie stick. It shows up in work boots, ready to dig, sweat, and get things done. That's the difference between showmanship and service. One fades. The other lasts. Now, sure, you'll still hear the excuses. They just didn't want a black woman to win. But let's be clear, that's not it. That argument, Played out. Yes, breaking barriers matters. It inspires. It motivates. But it's not a free pass. Identity can open the door, but staying in the room? That comes down to choices, integrity, and results. Because the people who elect you, they still need action. Every single day. And in places like Dolton, Montgomery, Jackson, Atlanta, communities rooted in Black pride. Being Black isn't a setback. It's a badge of honor. They want us to lead. But once you get the seat, it's on you to deliver. Period. I'm from Sacramento, so I get it. If you're not in LA or Oakland, climbing that political ladder is tough. That's why we look to Detroit, Atlanta, and New Orleans, cities where Black excellence has already left a mark. But here's the truth. That dream only survives if the leaders who inherit it actually do the work. Otherwise, it crumbles. Too often, people get elected and immediately chase clout. They forget why they were chosen. And every single time that happens, the cost doesn't hit them first. It hits the people. The very community that trusted them pays the price. The neighborhoods that needed the most love, they're the ones left bleeding. That's why we've got to raise the bar. Leadership isn't a hustle. It isn't a stage to flex on. It's a calling. And when a community hands you power, you don't stunt with it. You honor it. You build. You serve. You grind. Because if you don't, the crash is guaranteed. Leaders rise fast, fall faster, and the neighborhoods they promised to uplift, left in ruins. And make no mistake, this isn't just Tiffany Henyard's story. This is bigger. This is about what we demand from every single leader. A vote is not a trophy. It's a responsibility. It's not about flexing in the spotlight. It's about lifting in the shadows. That's the line between real service and betrayal. And Dolton just showed the nation how quick betrayal gets exposed. So let Dolton be the warning. For every town, every city, every district praying for better, watch who you elect. Don't just cheer at the campaign rally. Keep watching after they win. Because if they're chasing chaos or clout, the fall is already on the way. And when it comes, it hits hard. Title? Gone. Respect? Gone. Legacy? Dust. What's left? A few Instagram selfies, and a history nobody wants to claim. That's the graveyard of wasted power. But here's the flip side. When leaders stay grounded, when they serve with purpose, that kind of legacy outlives them. It builds generations. It shifts futures. It actually changes lives. But the second you start believing you're above the people who put you there, the countdown to collapse begins. And it comes quick. The money dries up. The followers fade. The stage goes silent. That's the law of false power. What goes up on ego comes crashing down in reality. And speaking of collapse, let's talk about Kamal Woods. Yes, that Kamal. The married man allegedly caught up in Tiffany's fairy tale when the lights were still bright. Back when the checks were fat, the trips were flashy, and the headlines painted her as unstoppable. But now that the money's gone and the spotlight's dim, Kamal is ghost. You think he's sticking around for frozen dinners and side-eye silence? Please, that man's sneakers are already laced. He's halfway to the exit. Because the truth is, he was never there for her. He was there for the perks, the ride, the shine. And now that the shine is gone, so is he. And Tiffany, she's not just out of the mayor's seat. She's out of time, out of chances, out of backup. That's what happens when you treat public service like a hustle instead of a duty. The bags dry up, the allies disappear, and the story ends in silence.